Let me tell you something. There are moments in life when you realize just how fast one bad neighbor can ruin your peace, and I found out the hard way. Picture this. I'm up to my elbows in mud, standing by my excavator on a chilly evening at Pine Lake, when a shrill voice slices through the air. He's destroying the lake. Send someone now. That's Karen, queen of the HOA, hollering 911 on me while I'm working on my own land. 20 minutes later, I'm wiping dirt on my jeans as police lights flicker across the trees, her white Mercedes pulling up all elegant, as if she's starring in some suburban crime drama. You ever had a neighbor who thinks they run the world? Drop a comment, because this one's for you. The excavator coughs and dies, and suddenly there's nothing but the crunch of gravel and my heart pounding, watching two officers step out, one young and jumpy, the other older, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Ben Harrison, the younger cop, calls, not sure if he's talking to a criminal or just another victim of a community dictator. I climb down slow, hands where they can see, years of construction teaching me not to spook the folks with badges. We got a 911 call about illegal construction, environmental damage. Can you explain? Before I get a word out, Karen floats forward, silver hair tight, gray vest that probably cost more than my truck payment, phone out, ready to film my downfall. Officers, thank you for coming so quickly, she says, voice perfectly tuned, not too dramatic, just enough to sound like concerned citizen instead of control freak. She points out the mud and the torn-up grass. He's excavating way too close to the water. The buffer's gone, runoff's gonna kill the lake. She's got all the tricks, gesture here, record there, always ready to pivot if things don't go her way. The older cop, Johnson, asks, "Sir, you got permits for this?" "Oh, do I?" I reach into my truck and pull out the fat folder, building permit, environmental assessment, every scrap of paper signed and sealed. Johnson flips through them, bored but thorough, while his partner inspects the string lines and survey stakes, probably thinking he should have stayed in bed. Finally, Johnson says, "These look in order. Everything's approved." Karen doesn't blink, just shifts her weight, gears up for round two. "Officer Johnson, your daughter's in my Jennifer's class, right? You know how we care about the environment. Not a threat, just a gentle nudge, like everyone here's connected and you better remember it." She pulls out the big guns, quoting the 1997 Water Protection Act, HOA covenants, high water marks, and tries to bury me under technicalities. Our rules say 35 feet minimum from the historical high water mark. He's at 25. I say, my surveyor measured from the current water line, 35 feet. She smiles. Different points, I'm afraid. The HOA's got precedence in this watershed. She offers to show them more documentation, and the younger officer suddenly looks like he'd rather wrestle a gator than referee a turf war. I throw in my hands. I just want to build a cabin. Went through every channel. If there's a conflict, can't we handle it civilly? For a split second, I catch something almost human in Karen's eyes, maybe a flicker of respect for not folding right away. She says, "My father was a ranger here 30 years. He always said, we borrow the land from our children." It almost sounds genuine, and for a heartbeat, I believe she means it. Johnson hands back my papers. "I recommend you halt construction till this gets sorted with the HOA. Not an order, just advice." Karen, barely hiding her satisfaction, thanks the officers, apologizes for the disruption, then hands me a business card, expensive, thick, with Karen Whitmore, President, Lakeview HOA, embossed in gold. "Come by tomorrow, 9 a.m. We'll walk through the rules, see what it'll take to get you compliant." She gives me a parting shot about rain and runoff, as if one night of exposed dirt will kill the lake. Her taillights disappear, leaving me standing there in the fading daylight, mosquitoes already moving in. And suddenly, I'm back at the water's edge where my granddad taught me to fish. Same rocks, same view. He loved this place. The lake knows us, he used to say. I'm frustrated. Sure, 20 years in construction, did everything right, but one call from Karen brings it all crashing down. But standing by the lake, the frustration fades into something stronger. My granddad left everything in order. Old deeds, titles, even the original 1922 purchase papers, tucked away like a secret weapon. Karen's been running this place since '95, building her little empire, never knowing what's hidden in my truck. Tomorrow's meeting is going to be interesting. She thinks she owns this lake? She has no idea. Now let me back up a sec. 3 months before all this, a cream envelope arrives at my Charlotte apartment. Handwriting so fancy it screams money. It's Karen, welcoming me to Pine Lake, inviting me for tea to help with construction plans. I actually thought it was neighborly. I called her up, and she's pure Southern hospitality. Any dietary restrictions? She asks, as if we're brunching at the Ritz. Should have seen the trap coming. Her house is lake house perfection. Stone, wood, big windows, everything in its place. She's got my building plans already, spread out on her coffee table. This is lovely, Ben. But, see, the corner here gets a little too close to the water. Maybe shift it north just 5 feet. She's got the names of contractors, the right folks for excavation, concrete, septic, people who follow the rules, and probably report back to her. She gives me the whole song and dance about conservation, her father's legacy, algae blooms, watershed laws, and for a minute, I believe she's just trying to do the right thing. I leave thinking, maybe this will be easy. Called Tom Bradley about excavation, lined up the subs, everything by the book. But now I realize she had my plans before I even finished them, nudged me inch by inch away from the water. I was being played by a master. When the stop work letter comes in May, it's like a gut punch. Tom's crew is halfway through the framing. We're cruising along, then boom. Emergency HOA vote, $500 a day fines, construction stops. Karen shows up in a gray coat, expression full of regret, tells me, the state changed the law. 50 feet minimum, effective immediately. You'll need a variance, or maybe consider selling. Suddenly, all the sympathy in the world, but it's clear she's forcing my hand. I do my homework that night. Turns out the new law doesn't require the HOA to change anything, it just lets them, and they chose to do it the exact day my cabin's half built. Karen's playing chess while I'm stuck on checkers, so I fight back the only way I know. I put up security cameras, top shelf, night vision, cloud backup. Tom helps me install them, and within an hour, Karen's there, walking the perimeter, picking up trash, making notes. Then late at night, I catch her on camera, prowling my site, coming and going from the lake path. That's when it clicks. I start digging into public records, and it's all there. Karen's run 47 disputes over the years, always pushing sales to the same LLC, Shoreline Holdings. She's been forcing people out, flipping the properties for profit. The agent for that company? Her lawyer. And buried in the filings, Karen herself, managing member. It all comes together when she's caught on my cameras at 3:17 a.m., holding up 3 fingers. 3 months. Her timeline for making me give up. But this time, I'm not backing down. I show up at the next HOA meeting, nerves jangling, but ready for war. Karen give a masterclass in emotional manipulation, slideshows of algae blooms, her dad's sacrifice, the fragile ecosystem. When it's my turn, I'll lay out the facts, permits, investments, every hoop jumped through, then yanked away. She spins it back on me. What message does it send if we let you build? I counter, what message when the HOA changes rules midstream? It's a standoff, and she wins the crowd with a story about my grandfather's moral legacy. Makes me look like I'm betraying my own blood. Afterward, old Mrs. Carter from the bait shop takes me aside. Your granddad didn't sell out of nobility. He had a long-term plan. Ask yourself why he kept those papers. So I do. Next morning, I hit the county archives and find it. A deed from 1922 giving my family trust all shoreline rights, predating the HOA by 70 years. Every house, every dock technically needs my family's permission. It's a nuke, but I don't use it to blow up the community. With my lawyer, I draft a proposal, grant all current homes legal easements for $1 a year in exchange for the HOA letting me finish my cabin. I send the certified letter to Karen, and she calls within hours, voice tight. At her house, with her lawyer, I lay it out. She's stunned, but recognizes checkmate. I don't want a war, just my cabin in peace. We work out a deal. My shoreline goes into a conservation trust after I'm gone, named for our grandfathers. But the HOA board freaks out. and we end up in court. It's a circus, camera footage, midnight trespass, Karen exposed for surveillance and property manipulation. Mrs. Carter testifies, tells the judge the truth about the Harrison legacy and the HOA's overreach. When the gavel falls, the judge sides with me. Permits restored, $50,000 in damages, Karen barred from my property, HOA cameras ripped out. It doesn't feel like a total victory, though. Karen looks relieved more than angry, like someone finally let her put the armor down. Months later, she's signing away her control, the Shoreline trust established, her house sold, and me finally living in the cabin I always dreamed of, just where I wanted. Karen, humbled and changed, moves to Asheville to teach kids about conservation the right way. Before she leaves, she gives me a photo, my grandfather and her father fishing together before the battles and power games. There's always more to the story, she says, tears in her eyes. We all deserve second chances. Her words, not mine, but I believe her now. The lake's still here, calm as ever, not caring about old grudges or HOA drama. My cabin sits by the water, porch facing the sunset, loon calling in the dusk. Maybe that's what it's all about, figuring out how to protect what matters, without becoming the very thing you set out to stop. Sometimes the best way to protect something is to trust others to love it too. So, tell me, have you ever had to fight for what's yours, stand up to someone who thought they knew better? Drop your story in the comments. Let's talk about what real justice looks like, what's fair, what's right, and how you'd have handled Karen if she was your neighbor. Because out here by the lake, the only thing that lasts longer than water is the stories we tell and the choices we make.